Letter to my son, Cage. I am your father, Keedran Franklin. Met your mom in the year of 2012 on the hip hop scene. When your mom and I knew that you was on your way, the feeling joy is an understatement because the thought of keeping another being, a God, alive, scary. I was born into a family that didn't have a lot of money, but a lot of love. It's probably the biggest factor of why I pushed through. Fear. Fear of you being watched, surveilled, or betrayed by any of these institutions that has already been in place. It's the reason that I fight. It's also the same fear that keeps me from really showing you to the world like any parent would want to. But my fear that the egregious and evil people that don't agree with the things that I'm doing to co-create a world free of oppression for you will see me in you and don't want you to make it. Memphis is the second poorest metropolitan city in the country. And that says a lot for a city that's 65% so-called black people. I feel the duty to fight the systemic ailment that plague the city and me personally. I have been illegally surveilled by the police. I have been stalked by them online using fake accounts. My movements tracked. I live in constant fear of being watched because of my participation in activist groups. The ACLU of West Tennessee filed a lawsuit which was heard in federal court by the Honorable Judge John P. McCullough, and he ruled that the city of Memphis had illegally surveilled myself and others for simply practicing our First Amendment rights. And yet I'm affected by this every day and afraid that someday it would affect you. Being a professional organizer, I have been locked out of the economics of the city because my name has been circulated on a list, a black list, created by local government, that says I am a terrorist. People are afraid to hire me. There are times I have been blocked from getting work because of direct interferences from politicians in the city because of my activism, which has taken food out of your mouth. I'm not the only victim of this. How do we find the legal means to support our families when the political structure does everything it can to block us from it? When blacklists are circulated that tarnish our names so that no one wants to hire us. It's a lot of things I've been dealing with. It's the redistribution of wealth. I created the check-in coffee shop. I was founded to create safe spaces and to employ felons and those who have been locked out of the economics, and not depend on a system that is built off the backs of us, but only gives us the least amount. And even when they tried to burn our building down, the love of the community drove us to set up shop early the next morning. And since you've come into the world, I've had a whole new view of my mission. And that mission looks something like new ways of organizing around all the institutions that you personally may come in contact with, around racial inequalities, around undereducated school systems, around impoverished communities. So I had to think and take myself back. What's one of the first institutions that betrayed us outside of family? Starting with the school system and making sure that we make the school to prison pipeline obsolete, because there is a system that exacerbates and zero tolerance tools that are used against children and youth that creates this paradigm that it's cool to not be at school, or it is cool to not be in tune with other children. So once you think it's cool to isolate yourself, it then becomes cool to go to jail. I'm thinking about the judicial system, another institution that is always intertwined within our lives, that you will always somehow come in contact with, whether directly or vicariously. And so how do we make that a just system? How do I make sure that Cage, and not just Cage, but all the children we've been fighting for since I have been fighting and learning to fight, don't have to come in contact with them? It's a big fight. So these are just beginnings of some of the different institutions that I've been reimagining and thinking about. How do we make sure that these institutions don't continue to betray our youth, betray us? So this letter can be long as the year is long, or it can be short. What I do want to leave is an institution that you could be proud of when dealing with your family. That's an institution that, if it betrays you, I've betrayed you. That's an institution that we have the most control over, and what we do and how we do and what comes out of it. And you can learn to control your own fate, your own destiny, your own institution. So as you get older and you'll be able to see this video, and you see some of the things that Papa has put in place, what Mama has put in place, I think you'll understand more deeply of what's been going on and what may be going on as you get old enough to truly understand. I consider this delayed gratification. I fight harder now, so you don't have to fight harder later.